What's up, people? In this video, we are going to talk more about the coronavirus, specifically in this video, how the media is blowing this out of proportion. They are exaggerating all of the scary things or potentially scary things about the coronavirus, like the infections and the deaths, and either ignoring or minimizing the, let's call it, good news about this, or downplaying the fact that it's really not that serious, which is what I think and what also a lot of this data seems to suggest. For example, this is an article on the Harvard health.harvard.edu, I guess their health blog. Most people with COVID-19 recover. Estimates now suggest that 99% people infected with the virus that caused COVID-19 will recover. Some people have no symptoms at all, and while thousands of people have died, the overall death rate is around 1% or perhaps even lower. Okay, so has anybody heard this? No. People are going berserk about this coronavirus stuff on Facebook, everywhere. It's like a virtue signaling, party in your pants and everybody's invited. It honestly makes me sick, actually makes me sick. Because people don't check the facts. They're just taking advantage of this as a way to look cool on the internet. Similarly to how the CDC is taking advantage of this. Have you seen the South Park episode with Al Gore, the first one where he talks about global warming and you can tell he just wants attention? I'm getting that vibe from this also for everybody who's talking about this. Some people actually are genuinely stupid and don't realize that it's really not that bad. I guess most of them actually don't realize it. But anyway, moving on. Children seem to be infected less often and have milder disease. If you watched my video yesterday, it said that out of all the cases in Italy, everybody who was under 40 years old who died from the disease had serious health complications, a history of serious health complications. The number of new cases is falling where the outbreak began. I guess that's kind of good news. The internet exists. Our response to future pandemics should improve. So this is interesting, right? The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed shortcomings in healthcare systems throughout the world that provide an opportunity to improve them. What they don't realize is that the coronavirus is actually responsible for 25% of the common cold. Every time you get the common cold, there's a 25% chance you had the coronavirus. And where is it? Right here. This is an article from MarketWatch that is titled, "Still Hearing People Say the Coronavirus is like the Flu? They're Wrong, and Here's Why." So this article goes on to talk mostly about the flu and how the flu is really bad and why the coronavirus is different. And halfway down the article, where is it? Here we go. To put that in perspective, in 2018-2019, worst flu season on record in the U.S. outside of a pandemic, approximately 80,000 Americans died. The 4 other coronavirus strains that already exist are responsible for around 25% of our common colds. Coronavirus is responsible, or the other coronavirus strains are responsible for 25% of our common colds. That means people have already had the coronavirus or a different type of coronavirus many times. Chances are you've had it. You've had it probably before. Somebody you know has had it. Did you fucking go to pieces last time you had it or somebody else had it and shut down everything in the world because of that? No, it's just panic and hysteria. Encouraged by the media and further encouraged by stupid people on Facebook. Okay, so those are those two things, right? Many people have stepped up to improve the situation. What else do we have here? Okay, so where is that other? Here we go. This right here. Coronavirus cases in the United States, 14,371, 218. Now, if you watch the news, you'll see a lot of articles, or watch the news, or go on the internet, basically, what else you're going to do in this time of need. You're going to see that the amount of cases of the coronavirus is jumping exponentially, right? It's it's going up quite a bit. There was something on Reddit that the guy plots all the data points. I wonder if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Reddit coronavirus. It might be stickied. Let's take a look here. No, it's not stickied. Oh, wait. So anyway, the guy was plotting the data points. Whatever, I can't find it. Anyway, the point is this, is that if you have a lot of cases of something, or if you have a small amount of cases, and then you start testing more and more, you're going to have more cases showing up because you're testing more, right? Does that make sense? And I think I read this in this article. I don't know, whatever. I read it in one of these articles, right? Where basically it says, if people start testing for coronavirus, you're going to find more cases of coronavirus. And now that like all these states have like started testing more and more, you're going to find more people that have it. And not only that, if you're finding more of these people who have it, the death rate is going to drop, because the death rate, people actually dying, that's a hard data point. Like you can't test more to see if people are dying, but you can test more to see if people are getting the virus, right? So basically what's the point is this number is going to go up exponentially, and this number is not. Okay, this number, it's not going to go down, obviously, but the ratio between these two numbers is going to drop. Does that make sense? And to illustrate this point, I have created this lovely map, or what's called graph right here. This is the graph that you see a lot of people reference, or something similar to this. I couldn't actually find it, right? You have the date on the x-axis, you have the total number of deaths on the y-axis, or infections possibly. Actually, I think it might be infections, not deaths. It's infections, my bad. This should say infections. I should probably change that. Sorry. Infections. Okay, now here's the thing with statistics is that if you have small increments on the y-axis, then, and you have equal increments on the, well, I guess you'd have equal increments on the y-axis as well, but here you're going to have every day, right? This is going to be day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you're testing more for the coronavirus, then you're going to have an exponential amount of infections. Does that make sense? So like, of course it's going to go up like this, right? And when you color it red, it's going to be red. And like, does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that correctly, but basically the point is this, is that you can make a graph that looks like this with infections. And of course it's going to go up and it's going to look like this because you're testing more. And this is going to scare people. It's like, oh my God, that graph's going up so fast. That's so scary. And the point is that they could have made the graph like this, okay? But they didn't. I'm sorry, this should also say infections, my bad. Infections, right? So what's the point is that the people who are making this graph and the people who are promoting this graph over another graph are doing it in order to scare people on the internet. And as I've written here, a linear curve is not as scary as a steep curve, so the media uses smaller increments. Oh, maybe you can't see that. The media uses smaller increments on the y-axis to create fear and get people to read their stupid articles. Makes sense? And the same data can made to be look scary or not scary based on how you plot and color the graph, right? If you have bigger increments here in infections and perhaps a longer timeline, then it doesn't look so scary. But when you increase the amount of testing that's going on for this, obviously the amount of like confirmed cases are going to go up. Does that mean it's bad? Does that mean that the illness itself is suddenly getting worse? No, it doesn't. And when you control for people who have pre-existing health conditions, the death rate is about the same as the flu, right? And you can look at Italy, which is one of the only countries to have like actually released a study on their data. You can see that. What else? Here's another article. I have the coronavirus. So far, it hasn't been that bad for me. And this is an article about a Washington Post author back in February. This article's not getting a lot of press, but basically the guy says like he was on the Princess cruise ship, he got the coronavirus, he's in quarantine for a month, and it wasn't really that bad. He like sat on his computer and did work, you know. This is only really bad for people who have pre-existing health conditions, of which there happen to be many apparently in China and in Italy, the two countries that were hit the worst. A lot of people smoke in Italy, a lot of people smoke in China. China's not like the healthiest country, and I think it even said here in the article that said like it seems so bad. Oh no, that was in this study. It seems so bad because like the healthcare systems in those countries are not so good, despite what Italy said about how amazing their healthcare system is. I guess there's nothing that you can do when you have an aging population and 99% of them had pre-existing health conditions, which to be fair, I guess if you are 80 years old, you are going to have some kind of problem, right? To be fair, like a third of them had heart disease, a third of them had diabetes, and I think 40% of them had, what was the other one? I don't remember what the other one was. And 50% or 40% of all of those who died, or 99% who died, had at least had 3 illnesses, right? To give you an idea, these are not healthy people who are dying. All right, so I hope that was helpful, kind of all over the place. The point is that the coronavirus is not that bad. COVID-19 is not that bad. It's not as bad as everybody's making it out to seem. This is totally being taken advantage of by the media and a bunch of bandwagon jumpers on social media, because that's what social media is all about, is bandwagon jumping and trying to show everybody else how cool you are on the internet, making this worse than it really is. And the stupid people who are in charge of the government, you know, they're buying into it, and they're idiots also. So everyone's an idiot except for me. I'm brilliant. You also might be an idiot. I'm sorry to tell you that. But if you watch this in video all the way through, chances are that you aren't, because if you disagreed with me, you probably would have turned it off a long time ago. Anyway, what do you think about that? Let me know. Leave me a comment. Is this coronavirus shit completely blown out of proportion? If you think it is, I encourage you to share this video or share the articles that I referenced in this video. At least share those on social media. Like, let's start spreading more information about how this is not like as serious as people are making it out to seem, so we can get this shit wrapped up like much faster than it really is. Please, I'm asking you, please share my video or share these articles. Cool? Peace. Let me know. Leave me a comment.